Hi, today I'm going to talk about research ethics. Part 1 will be on principles and part 2 will be on case studies. Part 1, you will learn how and when to comply with research ethics, and a take-home message will be an information sheet that is good to use that follows all the research ethics principles. Research ethics in research starts from the time we do literature review all the way to the time when we write up the results and share it with the rest of the world. First, when we review literature, we should not plagiarize. It is a very easy thing to cite other people when we use the ideas. Even if we rewrite the ideas in other ways like active and passive voice, we still have to cite because the ideas originally came from them. It is only for general information like the 7 colors of the rainbow that is when we don't need to cite. Secondly, getting permission for the study. It starts all the way from the authorities. So let's say if you're collecting data in Malaysian schools, you need to get permission from the Ministry of Education, and I have a link here for you. At the university level, you might want to apply for ethics clearance from the university committee. And if you're collecting data in the village, it is good to talk to the village headman. Then he will know what you're doing there, and he even may make the job easier for you by telling his people about you being there. And it is very important that we get consent from the participant themselves. So what do we do? And when we go to them, we tell them what the study is about, the benefits of the study, whether to them or to the community, and risks if there are any. We tell them that their participation is voluntary. Nobody is forcing them. If they want to withdraw from the study anytime, they can do it. We also tell them that information will be kept confidential to protect their identity. And we do this by using pseudonyms so that we don't declare their names, and we don't talk about what they tell us to everybody around us, and we keep the data securely in our office or homes. This is a sample information sheet for researchers to get consent of respondents. First, we put the project title. This will tell people what the study is about. We also thank them for taking time to read through this information. Because time is precious, we must respect our respondents. We introduce ourselves so that they know who we are. It's good to put the name of the university. Then we go into the kinds of information I told you just now that we verbally tell them, but now we put in writing. Purpose of the study, benefits of the study, and what they need to do. Like if we are going to record them, we need to tell them that they will be recorded and to seek their permission to do this. We tell them about voluntary participation. We tell them about confidential information and also anonymity. Okay, after the study is done, we promise them that we will store the data securely, and the written transcripts will have no names. Of course, we do research with the intention of sharing the findings with other people. They understand that a report of the study will be made, maybe written as a conference paper, journal paper, or just submitted as a report. So if they are agreeable to all this, we invite them to fill in the consent form and sign to show their written agreement. For students, it is good to include your lecturer's name to give credibility to you and the study. This sample here is taken from Silverman 2010. So we next move to collecting data. Number 3, when collecting data, be neutral. This starts with selecting people to participate in our study. Do not be biased and select those we feel will give us the data that we want or say things that we want to hear. So do not be biased when selecting participants. If your study is not about people, but you are analyzing text like newspaper articles or social media messages, do not be biased. There must be a system to collect the data. Otherwise, the results will be biased because the data are biased in the first place. So to ensure that we are not biased, we must come up with a selection criteria. These people can participate in this study if they have 1, 2, 3, 4. or these texts can be selected if they have these characteristics 1, 2, 3. So that is at the selection stage. Next, when the participants are talking or giving their data, we have to make sure we don't lead them towards certain kind of answers. Open questions. How do you find Unimas? That is open. They can say whether they like it or don't like it. But if we say, do you like Unimas? Well, we are hoping for a positive answer, and they also know it, and they may give a positive answer to make us happy. So do not lead them to certain answers. Of course, you can have multiple choice questions in the questionnaire, and it can still be open questions. This doesn't mean that all the questions are those for them to write down their responses, because in a questionnaire, the intention is to control the responses, and yet the question can still be open. You just have to work harder at it. Finally, when collecting data, ensure there is no harm that comes to the participants. Number 4, analyzing data. Very bad if we fabricate or falsify data. Fabricate means we make out the data ourselves. Maybe we sit down and fill in the questionnaire ourselves. Falsify means we change some of the responses, and both are wrong practices. The next part of collecting data, for certain studies that may be traumatic to participants, like putting people in a room with a cockroach to see the responses or the things they say, well, they need a debriefing session so that they will leave the study with the proper mindset. Otherwise, they are traumatized. But most studies are not in this category. Number 5, transcribing interviews and recordings accurately. You see, we can work hard to make sure that the interview questions are open and we are neutral, but when we transcribe the data, the researcher can also import elements that will violate research ethics. One thing is, if we pass the recordings to other people to transcribe, they will then get to know who these participants are and start to talk about them. Therefore, we must tell other people who transcribe our recordings to preserve anonymity. It is very important that they understand this. Secondly, interviews should be transcribed as they are. We cannot change what they write because we think they say something wrongly, or they should have said it in another way that is clearer. No, we just follow whatever they say. We transcribe it as it is. And finally, when we report results, we need to interpret them accurately. Yes, the results from the questionnaire comes out like this, the mean scores are like this, from the interview, these are the excerpts, but what meaning we make of them, that's when there could be biasness coming in. We need to understand why certain participants say something, and we cannot misunderstand it, and therefore it will all add up to inaccurate interpretation of the results. For each participant, we ensure accuracy. In the end, if we draw conclusions from the whole group of 20, 30, 40 participants, there are certain conclusions we draw based on the analysis of the whole group. It may not be exactly what participant 1 says, but it is from the whole group, and that's okay if we make sure that we do things accurately, each one along the way. And never try to report findings so that they look interesting, because by doing so, we may be changing some of the interpretations. So you see that for research ethics, it starts at the very beginning and ends when we start to report the results and share it with the rest of the world. But it's very important that we follow these principles of research ethics so that we are researchers with integrity, and we need to be responsible for the findings we put out there. Otherwise, we are creating fake information in the research world. Thank you.
And then